Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today we're taking a look at a small ladder climbing card game called Scout. Scout here is like many other ladder climbing card shedding kind of games in which you are trying to run out your hand of cards. But this one has one big major interesting twist, and that is that the cards are double-ended, and you can play the cards facing one way with one number showing, or turn them end over end, and they have a different number showing. And you cannot rearrange the cards in your hand. What you are dealt and the order in which you are dealt those cards must be obeyed, and you cannot just pluck whichever cards you want to play and play those. So let's go ahead and take a look at how it works. I'll show you on the table in a little demo here, and then I'll see you on the other side for some final thoughts. Here we're going to be taking a look at the game setup for 4 players. The first thing we do is remove any cards that the rulebook says we remove for this player count. Then we're going to shuffle up all the cards and divvy them out equally to all the players. The players shouldn't pick up their cards until they've all been dealt out. And then everybody also gets one of these Scout and Show tokens that they put in front of themselves. And then we are ready to begin. So I'll be starting over here pretending that I'm the player that was dealt this hand. So what you need to do, the very first thing you do, is you'll look at all the cards, making sure you do not change the order in which these cards were dealt out to you. And you are going to fan out these cards. You'll see that the cards show 2 numbers at the top. So there's the large number and then a smaller number at the bottom. That would be the number that you get if you flipped this card upside down. So on the other side, of course, we have the large 2, and it lets you know a 9 is on the other side. So the very first thing every player will do is decide which way they want to play this hand. I can play it like this, or I could take the whole hand, flip it over, and play the hand like this, okay? So you pick which way you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to play it this way. Fine. And then we will have a start player. So again, this will be the start player here. On your turn, you are going to do one of 2, possibly 3 things, really. You can scout or you can show. To show means to play some cards in front of you. You can play anything in your hand that is together and is either all of the same card or a run of cards, and they do need to be in order. So for example, for me, I could play both of these 5s together. That's fine. I could play this 5 and this 6 together. That's a run of 2 cards. That's fine. Now, if I had a 6, 5, 7, for example, I cannot play those. They do need to be in order. If it was 7, 6, 5, that's okay, and I could play that, all right? So if there's nothing at the beginning of the round, I am going to go ahead and play. And I will indeed play a single card right now. I'm going to play this 9 right here on its own. I'm trying to bring closer together this 5 with these 2, so that ideally I can play a triple 5 at some point later on. So I'll lead a card, right? I show a card. Then the next player will go, and we'll assume they already selected which way they're playing these. You can play a set, and you can show, if you can play something stronger than whatever is currently active on the table. Stronger means more cards, just generally more cards, or a set that is the same size but stronger. That means a run of cards where the higher card is better, or just a set of cards is also stronger than a run. So for example, 8, 9, 10 here, or 7, 8, 9, I could beat that with triple 2s, so that would be stronger. Taking a look at this hand, now this player could play the 4 and the 3. When you do that, if there was a previous active set, you are going to take those cards and keep them in your score pile, face down, set aside somewhere. And then it's the next player's turn. Next player will take a look at their hand, and they are going to play 2 6s. That's stronger than a 3, 4. And they will take these and put them in their score pile. Then this player will go, and they'll take a look at their hand. I cannot play 2 1s. That's not stronger than the 2 6s. I do not have a run of 3 things here, so I cannot play. And you could also just choose not to. So then the other option is I could scout. To scout means I'm going to take one of these cards in the current set and add it to my hand. I can pick any card that's on one of the ends of the set currently on the table. And when I add that card to my hand, I can put it anywhere I want to, and also with whichever side I want facing up. So this player is going to scout instead of play. I'm going to take this card, and I am going to put it right here just like this, so that I now have a 6, 7, 8 in my hand. Whenever you scout someone's set, they get a scout token, one of these, and they'll add that to their collected pool, okay? And then it's the next player's turn. So I'm done. This player here is done. So this player is going to go. They now only have to beat a single 6, and they will, unfortunately, cannot play that 6 yet. They will play this 9 and collect this card. And this is going to continue with you either playing, right, showing a set, collecting the previous one, or scouting what's available on the table, adding it anywhere to your hand, and then giving that player you just scouted from a scout token worth 1 point. We'll talk about the scoring in just a minute here. This continues until one of two things happens. Somebody's out of cards from their hand, or someone plays a set that by the time it comes back around to them, that set is still in play, even if obviously it has been pilfered by other players scouting from it. But if it comes back to your turn and your own cards, any of them, are still in play, the round is also over. And then we go to scoring for the round. So when we score, you are going to gain 1 point for every scout token and every card you captured. And you're going to lose a point for every card you're still holding in your hand. If you are the player that achieved the condition of having your set come all the way back around to you, though, then you don't lose points for the cards in your hand, okay? And you're going to make victory points or lose victory points with these tokens right here. One final thing I have not talked about is the Scout and Show token. Everybody gets one of these, and it lets you once per hand, once per round, you can cash this in and do both. So you can scout from the set that's currently active and show a new set in the same go. Obviously, again, taking the cards that are on the table and scoring them after you've scouted that set. So everybody can do that once per round. Once this is done, you'll shuffle up and you'll play again. And you will play as many rounds as there are players. Once that's all done, whoever has the most victory points, of course, is the winner of the game. And that's all there is to it. I tend to be a fan of ladder climbing games, but I especially like them when they do something that is clever and innovative without being too esoteric and too outside the box, right? I think Scout succeeds on that front. I think what it does is interesting and engaging. I think the idea of these cards that you can have either way facing up can be really neat. I love teaching people the game and having their eyes kind of light up when they see how clever that is, and sort of the main twist in the game is. But without, again, having too high of a barrier to entry. I don't want the game to be difficult to get into just for the sake of being different. And this one manages to succeed in avoiding those traps. So let's go ahead and talk about it, all right? I'm going to start with the theme at the top here. The game tries to enhance the idea of you scouting for a circus, which is what the theme here is. Not something I've really touched on because it's basically themeless. It tries to enhance that by having cards that show the name of the performer on the card, and then as well as the act that they are performing. So, for example, this card here says Michael on the card next to the number on both sides. It says Michael. And then the act that that person would perform in your show. So it can be a bicycle or a juggler. And that's shown by a tiny little symbol right here on the side of the card. This is pretty meaningless and sort of something that doesn't, in my opinion, add anything to the package. But it is also very easy to ignore. The game is clearly quite abstract. And I don't find that to be a problem. But the theme is not something that I think of while I'm teaching or playing the game, or anything that I would come back to this game for that theme, right? The aesthetics are up next, and I think the game has great build quality. The cards are nice linen finish cards, good quality, well put together, good layout, and I like the way they have managed to write the large number here at the top, the one you're meant to be looking at, and the other one is certainly legible and very easy to find, but also easy enough to ignore when you're looking at your cards spread out in your hand. The tokens are all good quality, vibrant. They have this purple and orange motif that they've gone with on most of the tokens, and I find that works. It's a good-looking game, very small package. Everything fits back in here fairly well. It's a tight fit, but it fits back in here fairly well. And they also did a very good job on the rulebook. I think it's a solid rulebook, well put together. The replay value. It's as solid as any other ladder climbing game, I would say. These games are not necessarily about discovery every time you play, but more about they become sort of comfort food games. I think a lot of ladder climbing games, trick-taking games, are about that quality of becoming something familiar, of becoming something that you can easily go back to with family and friends and enjoy without it requiring all of your attention. So they can be conversational or they can be casual. This game manages to do all of that. It can be a very casual game while still maintaining interest. So I think the replayability here is good. There are things to do, fun little moments to think about, and then, yes, many moments in which you're sort of following the general flow of the game. And you can converse, right? The game mark is up next. In this game, the score that you have can go negative, and I could see that as being a little deflating to the players that are suffering from that. But I do like that the scores in the game do not balloon up to ridiculous numbers. I think a lot of trick-taking games, especially, can sometimes suffer from that. You know, where the end game score is 500 points. We'll keep playing rounds until somebody gets to 500. And that's also not something I particularly enjoy. I know it's a general trapping of the genre, but I don't generally enjoy that. So in this one, you are going to play a number of hands equal to the number of players, which I think is an appropriate length. And if you are playing with 5 players, you could even choose to, you can at any player count choose to play less than that if you want to. But I like that the scores stay very manageable. And you have the tokens, the nice tokens to help you keep track of that. So no problem there. It's got a good game arc. Ease of play. Very nice, and one of the highlights for me. I like that the game does not have a lot of weird set construction for your discards. It's either runs or pairs, triplets, right, of X of a kind, right? That's it. There's nothing else. There's no other permutations or combinations that they allow you. There's no full house anything. There's no 2 pairs. There's none of those things. And many games of this ilk, again, try to do a little too much on that front to make themselves more strategic. And yes, that can be an end result, but I find that this one manages to stay simple without feeling simplistic to me. And so the ease of play, very high, and easy scoring, which also keeps the ease of play high. And then lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. Certainly that initial deal of a hand of cards will carry with it some luck. You cannot rearrange those cards. You are sometimes dealt very good sets, sometimes not so much. You do get to make that big choice of playing the hand one way or the other. And many of the plays in the game are fairly easy, and I would even call them obvious, right? Some plays can be quite straightforward, and you know what you should play or not play, and you do that. I would say the most interesting part of the game is scouting somebody else's play, and I think oftentimes playing more than once, becoming proficient with the game, the main difference, the main sort of exploration point from a seasoned gamer then becomes not just scouting when you have to, and not just playing when you're able to play, but scouting even if you could play in order to build a set that is a show-stopping set, right? Something that you can play on the table and guarantee, or hopefully guarantee, that set staying on the table while everybody else scouts and it comes back to you, and even if there's 1 or 2 cards left in your set, you've finished out the round, and the cards in your hand at that point don't count against you. That's the main exploratory part of the game, knowing when to do that. When is it worth not playing out cards, possibly losing more points for holding them, just to build up something in your hand that is going to blow everybody else out of the water. So I like that. I like that idea. So that's it. This is a very interesting little game. It's a neat little package. I would certainly recommend it to folks that enjoy family card games, that like ladder climbing games, that like trick-taking games, and want something that they can teach to many different folks that is going to be approachable, easy, bright, and colorful. Certainly not a thematic package by any means, in my opinion, but one that is going to be memorable and easy to play. Not a lot of games out there have cards that have two sides that are different numbers, and certainly very few of those are going to be this simple and interesting. So there you go. That is Scout from me, folks. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Very good. It gets a seal of approval, and I recommend you give it to someone as a gift, get it for yourself, make it a stocking stuffer perhaps for the end of the year. All those would be fantastic options. All right, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Zee Garcia, and I'll see you on the next one.